This is You're Probably Right. Entertainment first, everything else is just bonus. Opinions, all ours. Sometimes backed by research, but never the final word. There are always exceptions, so take it with a grain of salt and a slight dusting of chili powder. If something in this episode resonates with you or you want to reach out directly, you can email the show at yprpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find the podcast on Facebook. Just search You're Probably Right podcast and the page should come up. And if you are listening somewhere other than Spotify, you can find the show there as well. Just search You're Probably Right and follow the podcast so new episodes show up automatically. All right, let's get into it.
How you doing, y'all? This is MCM, and you are listening to You're Probably Right. This is a special edition. I don't even want to call it episode 317, but it is. We're going to talk about something totally different. This has to do with the Ontario school boards, Canadian school boards, support staff, teachers, and all that stuff and all that jazz. So I'll understand if you are one of my listeners from the United States or Brazil or the UK or the various other places that some of you listen from. This one is for my Ontario friends or my Canadian friends. But it probably wouldn't hurt to listen if you are a school board or you're part of a school board or your kids go to a school board that has some of these same problems. So check it out. I'm going to start with something simple and something that many of you already know, but most people don't really talk about. A school doesn't just run on lesson plans alone. A school runs on people. And I don't mean that in some cheesy motivational way. I mean it literally. You can have the best curriculum in the world, the best technology, the best policies, the best speeches, the best slogans on a website. But if you don't have enough people, and if the people you do have are burned out, undersupported, and quietly falling apart, the whole thing starts to wobble. And the part that gets ignored most often, the part that gets talked about or talked around, but not talked about directly, is support staff. The people who keep the building alive, the people who catch problem after problem after problem before they become headlines. Trust me, those who do the jobs know what I'm talking about. The many times they've run out into the middle of the street to stop a child from running across busy roads. The many times they have helped jump into their car and go to do something to help a child that wouldn't normally be suggested or encouraged. If anything, most times dissuaded from doing such things. The people who step in when behaviors go sideways. The people who help students who can't regulate. The people who do the messy work that you don't put in the brochure. We talk a lot about education as if it's mostly about ideas. But a lot of the education is logistics. Safety, stability, health, and basic human functioning. When those things are missing, everybody suffers. Students suffer, teachers suffer, admins suffer, families suffer. Support staff, who are often closest to the daily realities, suffer in a way that is quiet, constant, and easy for the system to pretend it doesn't see it or it doesn't exist. Listen, many people who work in education aren't there just for the paycheck. Surprise, surprise. They're there because school was personal to them. Some of them had one teacher, one support staff, or EA, as all of them are called these days. with the different designations. They're all just EAs. One secretary, one caretaker, one coach, one lunchroom supervisor who made them feel safe, seen, and capable. And that experience planted something. It made them want to come back and be that same person for someone else. Some people enter this work because they want to give back to the same kind of community that raised them. Some people enter the work because they know what it felt like to be left out, judged, and pushed aside, or their shoes thrown down a hallway and told to get out of the classroom. And they want to be the adult who doesn't do that to a kid. Some people enter the work because they went through hard things, and instead of becoming bitter, they became serious about helping. People love to say, hurt people. That's right, hurt people. But that's only half of the truth, not even really half. A lot of hurt people want to help people. A lot of hurt people are the ones most determined to protect kids from the kind of experiences that actually shaped them. Sit with that for a second.
If this sounds familiar, follow the show so this kind of thinking stays close.
And a lot of people who weren't supported properly as students grow up and do the opposite of what you'd expect. They go back to school, they get qualifications, they learn the strategies, they study child development, behavior, trauma, learning needs, and classroom realities. They do it because they don't want the next generation to feel the way they felt. They don't want kids to grow up thinking they're invisible or stupid or bad, when the truth is they just need the right support at the right time. That's why this conversation matters, because when we talk about education workers, we're not talking about robots and some sort of a timetable. We're talking about human beings. Many of them are carrying their own stories while showing up every day to help care for someone else's child. Early bargaining matters because chaos isn't strategy. There's been discussion in Ontario, for instance, about starting contract talks early, up to 180 days, they say, before agreements expire. And I actually understand the logic behind it in a sense. If there's no need for chaos, then get to the table early. Why not? Not when everyone is already stressed and angry about all kinds of things these days. Early talks don't magically fix the problem, but they lower the temperature and force the system to deal with what people inside schools already know is happening. The reality in schools has changed. We are seeing levels of school violence and behavioral escalations that many of us didn't see years ago at the same frequency. Back in the day, kids would know that they couldn't fight on school property, so they would find a nearby bush and fight fist to fist many times. Not that I'm condoning that type of thing, but you live to fight another day. Today's violence is on a whole other level. And when that increases, the need for staffing increases, not just teachers, people. We need more caring education workers supporting students with special needs. We need custodial staff and maintenance staff keeping buildings safe and functional. We need IT supporting schools so that they aren't subject to various attacks through those same computers and different devices. To keep schools running in a world where everything is digital and AI is a big deal. It's more than a Google search. It's more than writing an essay for someone autonomously. A school can survive a bad day of teaching. It can't survive a bad day of safety, or bad safety. It can't survive without being cleaned properly. It can't survive systems that are broken. It can't survive the churn of constant behavior incidents without enough trained hands and enough time. The administrators in many situations have limited options, especially with younger students. The result is the principal's office can be a holding space, or it can turn into a counseling room or a breakout space. Not because anyone wants it that way, although some do, but because the system doesn't always allow decisive action in moments. So behaviors escalate, someone gets hurt, the student is moved, the cycle repeats. And meanwhile, the rest of the building is still running. That doesn't just strain admin, it strains everyone at some level. Schools are absorbing what society is struggling with. We also can't keep pretending this is only a school problem. A lot of what is showing up in schools is connected with what's happening outside of them. Family stress, housing costs, parents working long hours, one-parent homes, second jobs, nutrition, sleep, kids showing up tired, hungry, anxious, dysregulated, underclothed. At the same time, community classes and programs have shrunk in many places. Those programs used to burn off energy, build social skills, teach discipline, give kids a sense of belonging, give families support. When those disappear, schools become the last public institution expected to hold everything together. And when you turn schools into the place where society dumps all the pressure, you don't get calm buildings. You get buildings that are constantly trying to prevent the next incident. This is where support staff comes in. I know I've gone all over the place, but just listen. Why this matters for, let's say, CUPE across Canada. Now, here's where I'm going to be very clear, because this is a part that matters for thousands of workers across Canada. Support staff often do work that is physically demanding and emotionally demanding, while being paid far less than others in the school system. That's not me saying anyone else doesn't work hard, because teachers work hard. Many teachers work hard. Admin works hard. But it is fair to say many support staff feel they are working sometimes twice as hard for less than half the pay. And that has consequences. It changes morale. It changes retention. It changes how people show up at their jobs. It creates resentment, burnout. And once that starts, you don't fix it with an appreciation email. Today is blah, blah, blah appreciation day. Say thank you to your local yada, yada, yada. Staff appreciation has become real, not symbolic. It has to become real, I should say. Let's talk about staff appreciation for a second. Beyond this, where the system often gives people symbols instead of support. Right now, what usually happens is this: someone gets nominated by a couple people in their school. People clap, there's a photo, maybe a plaque, maybe a little dinner, maybe a foot, you know what I'm saying? And then the person goes home and still has the same bills, the same stress, and the same summer gap coming. That's right. So here's a simple idea that shows up, or that shows how easy it would be to make appreciation real, actually. Imagine every support staff member put in $5 for the whole year. Not $5 a month, not $5 every day, not $5 during appreciation week, just $5. A one-time thing, automatically out of your paycheck for a whole entire year. Now, break down that $5 even more. Most support staff are 10-month employees, for instance. So $5 split across 10 months is 50 cents. 50 cents. Dun, 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 dun. Just joking. 50 cents a month. That's it, 50 cents. Now break down that 50 cents one more time. 50 cents a month is about 12 cents a week. Who wouldn't pay that to appreciate their fellow staff member? And yet you could do it across all unions, really. Just think about it. It's not a big sacrifice. That kind of money people lose without even noticing it. Now, here's why it matters. When thousands of people do a tiny thing like that together, it becomes something real. Let's just say there's a group, a union, that has about 3,200 members, and each person contributes $5, as I said, for the whole year. The math is simple. 3,200 people times $5 equals $16,000. $16,000 changes what an award can actually be at the end of the year. Instead of a plaque only, a few winners could receive a real gift that helps in real life. Groceries, gas, car repair, kids needs, dental costs, maybe they have to pay for something extra. Summer bills, maybe they're trying to catch up on something or stay ahead of something. Something that actually feels like respect, not just a photo op and a little meal. A plaque is not wrong, right? But a plaque doesn't pay bills. Healthcare for staff needs to be matched, or at least match the job that people are doing. Now, I want to talk about the part that keeps getting avoided. Healthcare for staff, especially support staff. Physical health, mental health, dental health, all of it. There have been medications, and some of you know what they are, that were offered at one point and then taken away from coverage. That helped some staff stay physically fit and functional, at least. And that matters. When coverage changes, people don't just magically stay well. They quietly stop taking what they need, or they pay out of pocket until they can't pay anymore. Fitness is another piece. Yes, there are gym subsidies in some places, but even with a discount, most gym memberships are around $800 a year, or hundreds of dollars out of pocket after the subsidy. For many workers, especially those working second jobs, trying to work out, trying to take care of the family. It's just not realistic, so they just don't do it. People aren't getting less active because they don't care. They're getting less active because the workday is long, stress is high, and the cheapest form of recovery at the end of the day is just to sit down. And as I said, those who have two jobs don't really have time to get to the gym most of the week, but maybe they would go twice a week, and that makes a difference. If we're serious about lowering healthcare costs and injury accommodations and long absences, we need to stop treating fitness like it's a personal luxury and start treating it like it's prevention. With the size of the education workforce in Ontario and Canada, there should be a way to negotiate a deal with a major gym chain to access free workouts for workers or close to it, far closer than $800 a month, a year. Free to workers doesn't have to mean free to the gym. Obviously, we know gyms need their money too. It can be a bulk contract. And if people want the math, here's the logic. If Ontario has roughly 330,000 education workers connected to primary and secondary schools, I'm not even talking about colleges and university, and even 10% opt in to a fitness program, that's about 33,000 people. At a discounted personal cost of maybe $480 a year, that's about $15,800,000 or more, like 840,000 in membership fees. That sounds big until you remember we already pay big numbers on the back end: sick days, injuries, overtime coverage, turnover, long absences, disability claims, and the cost of instability in school. A serious program wouldn't be a blank check, it would be structured. Maybe a 1-year pilot capped at a reasonable uptake of 10%. A bulk negotiation rate per active user, something like 250 to 300 a year, because scale should lower the price. Really. Paid only for people who opt in, not for everyone automatically. And it can obviously be a lot better when you look at the numbers. A basic usage requirement so people don't just sign up and never go. Outcome tracking, sick days, injuries, retention, and the program gets expanded only if the numbers move. Summer continuity, because many 10-month staff, sorry, I'm not getting tongue-tied here, because many 10-month staff could actually use the summer to rebuild health instead of losing it in the process of just sitting around, because they can't afford to do anything, can't afford to go anywhere. They're on EI, most of them. There's also an even simpler option that boards barely talk about. High schools already have gyms. Those gyms are often unused for large blocks of time. People could be going in on their lunches. They could be going in after school when caretakers are still in the building, and sometimes admin are still in the building. There should be a safe, structured way for staff to use those facilities during hours off. It's not luxury. That's practical health investment using spaces that already exist. Listen, July and August, the part that of the year that most people don't really understand for some of the staff. Most people don't understand that July and August actually is crazy when you look at it from a support staff lens. A lot of support staff are 10-month employees. So when the school year ends, pay ends. And that's where the stress starts because bills don't stop in July and August. Rent doesn't take the summer off. Food doesn't take the summer off. Car insurance doesn't take the summer off. Life doesn't take the summer off. Also, employment insurance is a whole other ball of wax because bills don't give a percentage discount in the summertime. So how does paying these people, giving them a percentage discount through EI help? It it only forces these staff members to try to catch up on bills in September all the way to December, just in time for another employment insurance installment. This is hurting people. Many would rather take a vacant operations job. Yes, many would do caretaker work. Jobs during these breaks just so
Hit
they can keep.
subscribe to You're
Sorry.
Probably Right. Real life, real consequences, and real conversations that don't hide behind safe answers.
Yes, many people would take those other jobs just to keep money flowing in their bank accounts so that they can pay their bills. Many would rather take these, again, operation jobs so they can keep the money flowing and pay their bills. In some of these layoffs throughout the year, maybe not all of those people, because some of those people are from two income families, but yes, some of them as well. Yes, there are ways to make money in the summer if you're lucky. You still got to compete for those jobs, right? People can sign up for summer school or community programs, the programs where kids from different schools get blended together, different needs that you don't know, different behaviors, different dynamics, stuffed into a classroom for a few hours of the day. And that work is real. It's not easy, but it actually also matters. But here's the problem. A lot of the time, the pay for those job assignments isn't the same pay again that people usually get during the year. And staff often get paid at the end of the assignment. That might be normal in some industries, but when you're trying to keep up with your bills, getting paid later doesn't help you today. It creates a gap where people are forced to juggle, borrow, stretch, and stress their way through weeks where they're still working but can't properly because the money isn't arriving in a steady way. So when people say just work summer school, they're missing the point. The point is, support staff shouldn't have to scramble every summer just to survive, especially when schools need preparation and organization before September anyways. There are simple solutions that would actually make sense. The option is paid prep time in August, maybe. Yeah, those same people probably need a little bit of a break, but maybe not 2 months. Schools don't magically become totally ready on the first day of school back. It usually takes a while. There are classrooms to set up, technology to prepare, safety plans, student support planning, many meetings that probably should be happening that don't, behavior planning, schedules, transitions, and 100 other things that could be being done properly if staff had paid time to prepare. That helps students, it helps teachers, and it helps support staff because it gives them income and stability heading into September. Not to mention they can plan social skills programs, they can plan to support students, they can plan to counsel. Another option is even simpler. Smooth pay over the 12 months. Teachers have started to move towards that kind of structure where pay can be divided over the full year so there isn't a financial cliff at the end of June, which still exists for support staff. If that makes sense for one part of the workforce, it should make sense for the other part too. Many people coming to work for 10 months disgruntled because of things like that. It's the same system. It's the same building. It's the same school communities. Opportunity and why the cycle keeps repeating. And this is where people need to understand something that is hard. It's hard to say, but true. You have a workforce within a workforce. You have hired help, as many treat the support staff. You have people doing physically demanding and emotional demanding work, often for less than half, sometimes a third of what other roles are being paid. And yes, we understand different roles have different requirements, different education requirements, and different training. Nobody's denying that. But we also have to be honest about that opportunity and that training and those requirements. There are many support staff who could have pursued other roles that pay more if they had the same access early on or later on even. Not because they weren't capable, not because they weren't smart enough, but because life doesn't hand everyone the same path, the same advantages, the same privilege that people used to like to say. Some people were conscientious and serious about school, but couldn't afford certain programs, couldn't get in, couldn't afford to live near certain schools, couldn't take a year off to study, couldn't do unpaid placements without income, and couldn't carry the cost that come with higher education. Even OSAP's changing. So they enter the workforce early. They took frontline roles, 2 or 3 years in college. They kept working, and now they're the ones holding the system together in many of the tough moments. Some just finished high school and are cleaning the buildings that you work in, while also being the ones who feel the financial squeeze the hardest. The cycle matters because when people are financially stressed, it limits what they can actually do. It limits further education, it limits professional development, it limits mobility, it limits health. And then the system turns around and wonders why some people remain stuck in survival mode while being asked to perform high level emotional and physical labor every day. Mental health because stable schools need stable adults. Okay, listen. A lot of people are trying to hold it together, teachers included, admin included. Not just work life, but life. And if the adults in the schools are mentally suppressed, anxious, depressed, burnt out, or emotionally exhausted, as many are, understand what that means. Those are the adults that are supporting our children that are the future. Short-term programs and a few sessions can help, but they can't be the only option. With the number of mental health professionals even employed in the boards themselves, there should be actual office space where staff can physically walk into, if not in every building, in most. Some professions treat psychology, or psychological support, I should say, as a part of keeping their workforce stable. And education should too, obviously. Dental. And I'm saying this because it's about dignity. A lot of plans cover fillings and things like root canals and cleanings. cavities. And people will say, that's great coverage. It is, compared to some again, right? But when someone has lost teeth and needs restorative work, that affects their confidence. Suddenly it's labeled cosmetic and then it's not covered. For many people, that's not vanity, that's just self respect and dignity. That's being able to speak and smile to many people every day, a small city, some would say, without feeling embarrassed. The bigger cultural piece, statements versus structure. Organizations love statements. They love website language about caring for the underserved, the underprivileged, the historically marginalized communities. And yes, those goals do matter. But when workers inside the system feel overlooked, and when it looks like only certain people are helped consistently, while others are expected to just absorb more and more, alienation grows from all groups. People just don't say it out loud. You know what I'm saying? And then something ugly starts to happen. I'm sorry for reading this so horribly. People start resenting each other. Not because they hate each other, but because they feel the system is judging people by optics rather than character, by how somebody presents in public rather than who they are as a person, their dedication, conscientiousness, hard work, and competence. Competence and the world, oh well, and the world schools are entering. We also need to be honest about the world we're entering. Education is becoming more technological and more AI driven. The system has to invest in up to date training and real world competences, or real world competence, I should say. See, I'm not even competent about reading this. Because it's not enough to run schools the way we ran them years ago and expect the same outcomes. The world is changing and it has changed. Jobs are changing and some are going to disappear. Certain instruction probably won't need a human to do it. Just being real. Representation and trust. Unions matter. Protection matters. Fair process matters. But representation only works when leadership is connected to membership. There needs to be a clear, well-lit, a well-lit, I should say, nomination and election process. Members should understand how leadership is chosen, how decisions are really made, and how priorities are set. When leadership feels distant, members stop believing anyone is actually speaking to them or for them. Pay structure and why people move boards. There are situations where people can jump from board to board and make several dollars more an hour for the same job. That creates churn, swinging doors. People move from people move for financial survival, not because they don't care about the students, but the result is that some boards struggle to retain staff and the communities that need stability the most end up with the most turnover. No blame, but real accountability. None of this is about blaming one group. It's not about blaming boards and unions or teachers or admin or parents. Education is a complex system, but making realistic, real change in small areas can have a big impact. 12 cents. But if we're serious about improving schools, then we need to include the people who keep the schools functioning, who keep it clean, safe, supported, and stable. Many teachers don't know what they would do if they didn't have support staff in a school dealing with some of the issues that arise with some students. Schools don't run on a mission statement. Schools run on people power. And if the people holding the structure together don't feel supported, don't feel respected, and can't access the health supports that they need to keep them stable, the system is going to keep fracturing. And you'll see weird things happening in school buildings. So the question isn't, who do we blame? The question is, what do we blame? And what do we build? And are we willing to invest in the human beings?
Subscribe to You're Probably Right. It's not advice from a pedestal. It's thinking out loud. No 15-second fixes, no model image telling you how to live, just real conversation.
Let me say that again. The question is, what do we build? How do we build? And are we willing to invest in the human beings who are expected to carry it? Anyhow, guys, that's it. That was a long talk, actually. Surprisingly, I didn't expect it to be that long. Anyhow, that's it for today. This is MCM signing off, and this is You're Probably Right. Take care until next time. Remember, all my episodes are for entertainment purposes only. So I'm not a professor, not even a teacher. I'm just a guy, just saying something. Anyhow, take care until next time. Peace out.
Hey, come check out You Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 ducks. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way.